efficiency, cost saving. I have a lot of questions about that. Specifically with my experience at Canada Post, I've been working for Canada Post since 2017, so 8 years and 8.5 almost. The first 7 years I worked in a small office and we were about 30 people, give or take. We had 27 routes with 11 trucks. We basically had 16 people who would walk from the depot to where their routes began, walk all day, no vehicles. The mail was dropped off by one of those truck routes, would drop off the mail in several locations along the route of the person who was walking, thereby costing no money in gas to the walking routes. Yes, the truck that dropped off the bags would, but that was part of, that was part of their bigger day. They would also do the larger parcels that couldn't be carried on foot. So basically you're having no truck for that walking route. So the environment, the green credits, the carbon credits, none of that. And when the company finally managed, after the first 5-6 years of me being at that depot, there was a lot of rumors. There were several times when they were talking about closing the depot and moving it to another place to share with another depot. And then we would all go motorized. So we would all have vehicles and it would be bigger locations. They finally got their way 2 years ago in 2024 by announcing the closure of our depot. So I made a petition, we did all kinds of local action, a postcard campaign with our MP, who never even deigned to acknowledge our presence when we went to her office. Yes, her, that ought to narrow it down. And yeah, we did everything we could. We fought a worthy battle. We got a lot of support from the locals. We got a lot of media coverage, newspapers, radio, TV, you name it. But anyway, they got their way. So what happened with those 27 routes with the 11 trucks was that the depot was cut. There were 2 postal codes at the depot. One of the postal codes went to another small depot, which gave up 2 other postal codes. So this is really crazy. I do need to tell you about that because that's even more crazy to me. It's unbelievable. And then half of it, the other postal code, went to a very large depot with 200 something routes, and not at all located in a community, like totally out in an industrial area, more or less annoying to get to by public transit, but possible. I do it on a daily basis. But yeah, so I want to talk about efficiency, because that depot that we were in for 7 years, where we were really a family, that was a federally owned building, and I believe it is still federally owned. I really hope so. I know that they probably promised to sell, allegedly, probably, possibly, to sell the building to somebody. Like, they probably have had a buyer in store for over a decade, because it's a heritage building. It's beautiful, and the value of real estate in that area is just kind of exploding, like, well, everywhere else, right? Who are we kidding? Which means, as a federally owned building, as far as I understand it, you don't pay property tax. So the only expense of that building was maintenance. And now, the separation, we have 24 routes with 24 trucks. So that's 13 extra trucks. That's more gas. That's more pollution. That's more traffic. That is a minimum of 40 minutes per day that the letter carriers spend getting from their home depot to the location of their route. 40 minutes minimum, and some of them 1 hour every day. So how is that cost efficient? You're taking away 2 hours of preparation of mail, but you're adding an hour of driving. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's not efficient. I would really like to see the actual numbers, but the numbers that include everything, including carbon credits and everything. I'd really like to understand why that's more efficient. And then, so I wanted to tell you about the other. So the other, not the postal code that I stayed with, but the other postal code, which is where I miss my customers. I miss you guys so much. They had to get rid of 2 other postal codes in order to absorb our, like about 11 routes or so, give or take. My calculation might be a bit off, but it's okay. That's not really, it's very irrelevant. So people that live directly across from that depot and used to be able to go there when they had problems with delivery now have to go 45 minutes by car to pick up anything that's having trouble being delivered. If you have like construction going on and you're not getting your mail, but you haven't paid for a hold mail, then your mail will be kept in the depot for a certain amount of time, about 2 weeks, waiting for the problem to be resolved. But in the meantime, you can go and pick up your mail at the depot. But now you can live across from that depot, but have to drive 45 minutes. Or if you're 2 blocks in the other direction, you drive a half an hour minimum in the other direction. So it's just seems ridiculous to me. Like, all of these costs aren't just financial. You're putting an extra burden on the public, but in every single way. Like, you're making them spend so much time to go to their depot that is delivering their mail. It's just ridiculous. So yeah, I'd like to talk about efficiency. I'd like to talk about real cost, human cost, the human cost of all the changes they've made. Where I say, like, in the past, in the first 7 years of my experience, we were responsible for everything about our route. We knew exactly who had address changes. We knew exactly who had paid for a hold mail. We knew exactly how we wanted to prepare our mail for the delivery along our route on our day. And we had control over that. Now, with this new quote-unquote modernized system, which is way less efficient, which leads to so many mistakes, so many delays. It's unbelievable. If a letter carrier delays a letter by 24 hours, they can get fired. But the corporation can put in a system that automatically delays the mail by 24 to 48 hours, including registered letters. So I'm sorry, like, efficiency. Where is the efficiency in this system? Let us rip it apart, talk to the people that are on the ground. Let's have a public consultation to talk about all of these little tiny things that people don't think about because they're not on the ground. And I feel that way sometimes about the people that are making the decisions for Canada Post about how we should do this and do that to be more modern and more efficient. No, you're destroying everything about the actual service part. We cannot offer personalized service anymore. Now we have no idea who has an address change in our route. So if the machine that sorts the small letters doesn't catch the person who paid for their letters to be diverted, too bad. We're not going to know. And what about the hold letters, hold mail? What if that goes through the system with mistakes? There are so many mistakes in the system. It's almost like it's intentional, but I can't say it is. But honestly, because of the level of like tiny, detailed little changes that are just making the system worse and worse and worse, you really feel like if it's not intentional, then it's just like that movie there, strange, strange circumstances, the horror movie where everything bad happens, you know? It just feels like that. So I'd like it if we could actually bring all the little bumps and bruises out into the public. Let's have a full public inquiry. Let's talk about efficiency. Let's talk about cost savings. Let's talk about the shareholders of the corporation, which is Canadians. Each Canadian citizen is a shareholder of Canada Post. Where is your corporate legal responsibility to the shareholders? Where is that? Efficiency, cost savings, corporate responsibilities. I want to open it all up. Let's get on it.